out to use it the next day, and with all the hopes in the world, and it just absolutely bounced off the log of wood that I was trying to sharpen, or trying to cut at least, and I'm afraid I was the laughing stock of Taree and Nabiac for a very, very long time. But anyway, we've kind of gone a little bit further since then, and I've got some news for you. I'm going to show you how to sharpen a chainsaw, but I'm going to use, instead of a round file, I'm going to use a flat file as well. The reason for that is that a chainsaw is two single bevel edges. Any of you guys out there that have trouble with them, if you follow this method, you will not have any more trouble, because this is how I sharpen a chain all the time now, and I wouldn't change for anything in the world. This is actually a chainsaw wheel that a little bit smaller, but it's a similar type wheel to the way the guys, when you send your chain away, what they use to actually sharpen your chain, and it's what they use in the factory to sharpen your chain. And the way they work with them is that this surface is flat and this surface here is rounded. Now this one's actually been ground down to do a mini chain, but if you can imagine that being round, it'll give you an idea. You've all seen these things anyway. So the way they actually do sharpen your chain is this, that the wheel drops down at an angle into your saw. The back of the wheel, I might turn that around so you can see it actually. The back of the wheel sharpens your tooth, and then the round contour of the wheel sharpens your gullet. So it just goes drop, bang in one action, and then you go and do this tooth, bingo, through here, down there, and so it does the gullet and the tooth at the same time. But the tooth is actually sharpened with a flat surface because it should be. It's a single bevel edge. You have a single bevel edge on the gullet and you have a single bevel edge on the top of the tooth. So, why do you sharpen a chainsaw with a round file? That's all they give you. Now, there's two ways you can do it, but the way that I personally recommend, and probably one guy out of 200 does it this way, is you use a file on the inside of the tooth. I'll turn this around. Now, you can actually do this without a guide. You go in through your tooth, in through your tooth. There you can go back and forward with what I'm using, because it's actually a synthetic diamond chainsaw file. You don't stop with it until you bring your burr up on that side of the tooth. That's very, very easy to do actually. Very easy to do. You bring the burr up right through. You will have, if you do it this way, you'll have a saw that just drops through a piece of wood like it doesn't exist. Bring your burr up there, and we will go to our little flat diamond sharpeners, and you simply give your tooth a good rub here and bring up your burr there. If you do that, you don't have to take your burr out with these, because the action of the chainsaw will actually take the burr right out the first time you use it. Now, as the chainsaw revolves, this burr will actually go. So, as I said before, you don't need to take it out. The most important thing with this is you've got to block off all tooth movement to enable you to do it. So you must tighten the bar right up. Absolutely tighten it right up. You start from here. If you're not good at numbers, paint this one black, and just remember that was the first one that you did, and then do that one, go through there till you get to here. Turn it, loosen it, turn it around, and do the entire chain that way. It will definitely take you longer without any worries in the world. But if you remember to bring the burr up on the outside of the tooth, of every tooth, and just do the flat of your tooth with even an ordinary file will do the job for you. If you can get one that's small enough, it'll take longer than the diamonds, but you'll get much better results. And basically that's all there is to sharpening. chainsaws, with the exception of your rakers. Now, rakers are not rakers. They should call them gauges or something like that, because they determine the depth to which the amount of wood can be cut out. Now, if you don't take your rakers down as your tooth goes down, you'll find that it won't cut at all. You can have a razor sharp saw, but if your rakers aren't taken down, you're stuffed. The other thing is too that if you want to use the entire lot of your tooth, this one's a 732, once you get to the back of your tooth, the last half of it, try using the next size down if you've got a round file, like a 3/16, and you'll find you'll get good results there. You'll find that if you do it this way, you'll only have to sharpen your saw. You'll be still cutting while all the other blokes are there fiddling with their files and going zip, 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 and zip, zip, zip. If you just remember that, run your burr on through the outside, run your burr here with a flat file up the top, and you won't have any trouble with chainsaws at all. Well, you've seen how we sharpen single bevel edges, you've seen how we sharpen knives and things like that. But the most problem people have is they do not understand how to sharpen clipper blades. Now, these are horse clipper blades, dog clipper blades, or even hair clipper blades in a hairdressing salon or something like that. You can sharpen these easily as long as you have a totally flat surface. And I'm going to show you now just exactly what you do. What we've got here is a pair of clipper blades. And they are very, very easy to sharpen as long as you have a flat surface. Now, the reason you've got to have a flat surface is because when you put them together like that, the bottom blade here feeds the hair in, and the top blade just cuts it off like that. So what you've got about 14 or 16 pairs of scissors in one little blade, just going back and forward, and that allows you to move forward and cut the whole lot. But the secret to them is actually having something flat to grind them on. And I'm going to introduce you to this plate, which you haven't seen before, except in the introduction. This is the 600 grit piece of magic. Now, with clipper blades, the parts that have to be ground flat are the here, and across there. So there can't be any space between the combs and the cutters. So to do that, you need, as I said before, you need a perfectly flat surface. And I'm just going to put this on this 600 grit plate and just show you how it goes. Now, with oil stones, they're absolutely no good for doing clipper blades at all, for the simple reason that they bow in the middle. And these are dead flat. So if you want to, you can do exactly what I've done, which is paint that black, and I'm also going to get the texture and paint this one black as well. Now, the diamond plate I'm using, including the black one, they love water as a lubricant. But if I use water on them, the black will just come off and you won't get any benefit of what we're trying to do. So I'm going to use them dry. You can use them dry as well. So we'll just put that there. And it's so hard to do this. All you've got to do is rub. And you rub all the black off. Now, if you want to go around in circles, you can go around in circles. It doesn't make any difference, whatever. What you're working on is to get rid of all the black. Once the black's gone, you've ground them. Now, I've used the 600 grit plate here because it gives me a finer surface. These plates have a fair bit of cut as well. And we'll just have a look at that and see how it's gone. See, all the black's gone. It's gone from here, it's gone from there, and it's gone from there. We'll give them another little touch up. That will be fine. And we'll do this one as well. I've already blackened this out and it's nice and dry. See how quickly they do it? It's just amazing, these diamond plates. Now that needs a little bit of a touch up there. I'm just having a look. There's a little gap here and you can see the grind marks there, so I'll just take that out there. Yep, that's gone. Sharp blades. Now what I've got here are a $2 pair of scissors that have done nothing but virtually cut fiberglass for years without being sharpened. And you notice I've got my scissor sharpening glasses on because I want to be able to actually have a look and see what these blades are actually like. This one's chipped out on the surface here, but basically they should come up all right without any trouble at all. Now, if you don't have good eyesight, and if you want to get a bit of an idea on the bevel angle, just get yourself a blue felt pen and paint that angle in, just on the top of the scissors, like that. Now, the one I'm going to use to actually do this work is the silver Australian-made diamond plate. Now, this one is coarse. It's 200 grit. It's the same as the big grinding plate. And it's very, very difficult to do this because all you have to do is basically do that. Just rub the black out or the blue out, whatever you like, and just grind that bevel. Until you bring up your burr on the inside. This is the most important thing of the lot. I'll stop here and just feel the burr, see if it's there. It's coming up now. Now by the time I finish this, there won't be any chips left on the actual surface itself. The burr's just rolled there. Now we'll come over this side on these. I'm just wiping this on my pants. We come down to this side. This is all there is to sharpening scissors. This particular pair of scissors, the bottom, now I can see them without the, with the black off it and all the rust. These actually has a very rough edge, which is designed to actually hold. So we'll take that out anyway, so that won't make much difference. Now you only grind the bevel till you bring your burr up on this side. Then you lay it flat, and just take your burr out. I'll just do that again, just to make sure it's okay. Now you can't lift this plate, as you can see there, there and there are both ground. You just take it out. This side you do the same thing. It's important that the scissor stays flat on the inside. Now we'll see how these go. I don't think they would have done that before we started. These scissors here are German Solingen scissors. They're 50-year-old, and as you can see there, you've only got a very, very narrow surface to actually grind. So you don't need to use something quite as coarse as the one I used here. I'm going to use a fine diamond plate, a small diamond plate. Now, once again, if you're unsure or you've got bad eyesight, I can do it by eye, but frankly, this is just to show you. All we do is just basically paint that in black and then grind your bevel. Now, when do you stop? You stop as soon as you raise a burr on the inside. You can actually feel the burr come up. There it is there. That's only a very fine one there because of this. This is the same thing. There's your burr there. It's easy, isn't it? There's no reason in the world you should have difficulty sharpening anything. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the burr out on these scissors with this 1000 grit plate. These come also in 1000 grit or 1200 grit, and it's quite handy to actually see the difference between the grits. We'll just take that out there and take that out there. Now, if anyone tells you it's any harder to do than that, you know, buy them a lottery ticket and hope they don't win it, because it isn't. Those scissors have never been sharpened in their life. These scissors have a particular application in that they're hairdressing scissors, and as you can see by the look of them, they're pretty old. These would be 60 years old, I suppose. And if you're a hairdresser watching this, and you just follow these instructions, you've got no trouble in the world of sharpening your scissors better than the guys who charge you $10 or $15 to do them. Now, the important thing with hairdressing scissors is they actually need to run. For example, a lot of hairdressers don't actually cut hair like this. They kind of put the blades together and kind of squeeze through the hair, and they allow the edge of the scissors to cut. Now, if you do them this way, they'll do that without any trouble in the world. And all you need is one of these to grind and 1000 or 1200 grit one of these to take your burr out with, and you can do them yourself and just wish all those guys goodbye. That's one of the reasons this video, by the way, is to help you understand that you can actually sharpen things and save yourself a fortune by having the right equipment to do it and knowing how to do it. You know, because half the guys who sharpen for you don't have a clue. And the cameraman who's filming this is a dead set advocate of that, because he's got horse clippers that have been sharpened twice and they're blunter than what they were when they went in the first time. I think it cost him $40 a throw or something like that. So here we go. We do the bevel angle with a 600 grit. You notice I haven't put any black on this. I've got my microscopic glasses on. Raise your burr here. You do this side. Don't worry if you slip off, you can't make any mistakes, except one. That's not to have the burr side flat. And you take your burr out with 1000 grit. I'm using this purely and simply to show you the grit, not the fact that you can do them with these, although you can. These are very handy sharpeners, have been double-sided diamonds. You take that out and you take that out. Now, if you want to get a better edge on your hairdressing scissors, or maybe you're a seamstress and you want scissors to run straight down a piece of material, what you can do is, I'm just going to turn around here, you can go to leather. Get yourself a nice piece of leather and have it in your drawer, your work drawer, and go over the surface with a piece of leather. Just like that. This is the old razor strop you saw at the beginning of the thing. Now that will totally take any burr and rough edges off what you're trying to, off the surface of your scissors. Now these scissors don't actually join in the centre, they're pretty stuffed, but as you can see, they cut without any pressure, whatever. That is the benefit of having finer grits and coarse grits. No effort, whatever, straight through it. We'll do the wet cigarette paper here. I want to get rid of them. This is one of the hardest things to cut that you can find. If you don't believe me, try and do it with something that's blunt. Well, that's all there is to scissors. Now you've seen how I've done scissors with these two little diamond plates. Now they're excellent, particularly for small surfaces. But the other thing is that you can actually do scissors with this, with these double-sided diamond plate. They're excellent for doing scissors. You can also do scissors with the big white mesh plate. And the most important thing is that you need a flat surface. That's as simple as that. And also, what happens is if when you go, and obviously you're going to go and cut something, you know, you say, oh, Jesus, these scissors don't cut. You know, I've done what he says, but, you know, it doesn't work. Well, you can do two things. Get yourself a magnifying glass and have a look at the scissors, because it could well be that the edges don't join from here to here. Another thing too, if you need to put glasses on to see close things, put glasses on. But that's the important thing, that if, for example, you're in a situation where the edge doesn't come up straight away, go back over the edge, go back over your bevel, nice and slowly. If you want to put them in a vise, put them in a vise. In looking at these scissors, they're actually bent. Just go back over your bevel again and bring up a finer burr there, and then take your burr out again. Now, if you just stroke your burr out, you will get miraculous results. So I like to do things fast, but if you don't want to do them fast, do them slow. Take steadied strokes, make sure that they're flat. You can't raise that 1 millimetre, it has to be dead flat, and just stroke it out. Now, there's another way of doing scissors, which is on these plates, and it's a lot easier if you can actually undo them doing them like this. You can run your scissors this way until you bring your burr up. Make sure you go through to your tip. This is why diamonds are so wonderful, because you're dealing with a flat surface. Now, that's caught up there, so we'll just pull that back a little bit. You'll have no more trouble. So there's the different bits and pieces you can do them with. A word of warning, never ever lay anything on this side that's coarse. Always the finest thing to take your burr out with that you can possibly get. This one in 1200 grit, which, believe it or not, is also silver, is absolutely superlative for a beautiful fine edge on a pair of scissors. Another thing too, I mentioned earlier, leather. Excellent. Even a cotton bud will do, to actually just run down that side to smooth it out and run down this side. Now, even if after you've done that you start getting hung up on your scissors, all you do is make sure that there aren't any little pieces of rust left on the scissors themselves. Grab a magnifying glass, have a look at it, and you'll find that you'll get very, very good results. Happy sharpening. This is a pair of secateurs, and you'll find that just about every household in America, England, Australia, South Africa, it wouldn't matter where you go, they've got one of these because they're, as you know, they're used to cut and prune with. Now, they're very, very easy to sharpen as long as you realise that they're a single bevel edge. That's all you need to sharpen here. So you sharpen them exactly the same way as you've seen me do single bevel edges here, and I'll show you just what you've got to do. This is a fine diamond plate. It's very, very handy because you can get into areas where you can't get anything else. You don't even have to undo these. And all you do is just run along the bevel. These are one of the tools that you don't really need to pull a lot of shoulder out of because they operate with force. Now, when do you stop? You stop when you run a burr up the inside, and you simply just lay this flat and take the burr out. Finished. Do they work? Who knows? I haven't tested them, but we may as well test them now. How long did that take? 10 seconds. One other thing with your secateurs is that they could be in such bad shape that the back of the secateurs is not flat. So this is very important, that it's similar to a chisel in that you make sure you flatten that right out. This is where the coarse plates come in for this, the grey ones. They're absolutely fantastic. This one here. Just to make sure that's flat. When you get into the grinding situation or the finishing situation, don't put anything coarse on this at all. This is just to make sure that the secateurs are flat. So as you go around your bevel angle here, it's good to keep to the manufacturer's angle on this. You can err on the side of fineness for the simple reason that these operate by virtually force, and they're cutting very heavy things. So if you make them too fine, you're in a situation where they can chip out on you because there's not enough guts in the actual blade itself, in the cutting edge. So we just go around here like that, bring your burr up there and just wipe it out. Again, the finest thing you use to do this with, the better it is. There's a little tiny gap there, and it's not a gap, it's just a little tiny bend that I can pick up on my glasses, but that won't affect the efficiency of them at all. Basically, if you do them like that, you'll have secateurs that you can be very proud of, and they'll actually cut all day for you. If you're in some kind of an industry where you're using secateurs like growing roses or grapes and things like that, this is actually quite important for you. I'll just see if this will cut. There it is. It's just gone through leather. Leather isn't what these are actually designed to cut because it's got to be far more stable. But they're rather sharp, and you'll get weeks and use out of these things. Once again, if you're going to touch them up and you have a super fine one of these, fantastic. You can't get past them actually. So good luck and happy cutting. Well, when I started sharpening, I did not realise that the amount of trouble guys actually had sharpening these. These shears are called mulesing shears, and as you can see here, they don't actually close up at the end. Now, you can get blade shears that they shear sheep with. They're this long. These little guys are used to just take the skin up the leg of the sheep, around its backside and down the other side, and what that's for is it actually stops fly strike. And when you do the sheep, you've got 5,000 sheep to do. They usually do them as lambs, you see. So what are you confronted with? Why is it so hard to sharpen a pair of these? Well, it isn't. It's as easy as pie. As a matter of fact, I've actually developed something here that does them better than just about anything on the market. I'd say anything on the market. What you've got on this side of this diamond plate